Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking something truly profound. We're diving into a deeply fascinating philosophical text written by Shufeng back in 2012, which literally attempts to demystify the very nature of the universe. If you've ever felt kind of intimidated by dense philosophical or spiritual jargon, words that just make your eyes glaze over, you are in the exact right place. We're going to break the whole shebang down step by step to understand the difference between the universe's foundational canvas and the beautiful paint that colors our everyday lives. Okay, let's dive right into this with a question that might sound a bit like a riddle at first. What do you, a cup of coffee, and a wooden table all have in common? On the surface, absolutely nothing, right? You're a living, breathing human, the coffee is a liquid you drink to wake up, and the table is, well, an inanimate piece of furniture. They seem completely separate. But according to the text we're exploring today, they all share a profound foundational link. They are literally all constructed from the exact same ultimate reality. No way, right? But stick with me. To really wrap our heads around that link, we need to define a few terms that often trip people up. You might have heard phrases out there like Tathagata nature, or maybe self-nature, or Buddha nature. And yeah, those words can sound super heavy and mystical, but the author makes a brilliant grounded point here. These are really just different words representing the exact same ultimate reality. It's the original, pure element that makes up any entity. The text uses this wonderful analogy. Whether you call it a potato, a yam, or a spud, you're talking about the exact same edible item. Tathagata nature is simply that foundational oneness of all things. It's basically the blank canvas of existence. And this brilliantly illustrates how that foundational canvas works in our physical world. Look at water. Water is the foundation, but if you add or subtract certain elements, that water expresses itself as coffee or milk or tea or, even blood. The same goes for wood. Wood is the foundational element, right? But it can take the form of doors, windows, tables. The wood itself is like that Tathagata nature we just talked about, the original pure element. The table is just the specific complex form it happens to take. Now, as you'll see here, this concept really builds when we apply it to living creatures. The source material states that all life is one. Period. In its foundational state, that Tathagata nature, there's no size, no shape, no gender, and honestly, no inherent good or evil. An elephant, despite its massive hulking size, is one. An ant, tiny as it is one. A vividly colorful butterfly and a totally plain, muted moth, exactly the same at their absolute core. This foundation is purely self-harmonious and completely equal across all beings. It's not increasing, it's not decreasing, it just is. But here's where the philosophy takes a really fascinating turn. If we're all just pure, harmonious oneness at our core, we have to ask this central burning question. Should a thing exhibit Tathagata nature or something else entirely? I mean, think about the natural world for a second. Think about a cat catching and eating a mouse, or a wolf taking down a sheep, or even just a cow chewing grass. Is that cat exhibiting pure, peaceful, self-harmonious Buddha nature when it hunts? Absolutely not. It's exhibiting a completely different kind of nature. The author identifies this specific behavior as heavenly nature. So while Tathagata nature is the raw material, think the wood or the water, heavenly nature is the specific expression of it. It's the unique characteristics given by the Creator to each specific thing and life, allowing it to express its own distinct role in the universe. If Tathagata nature is the raw, unshaped wood, heavenly nature is the intricately carved bed, the door, or the table. It's the specific function and characteristic that literally makes a cat, and a cup of tea a cup of tea. So the crucial point is really perfectly captured right here. Why don't we just exhibit pure Tathagata nature all the time? Well, just look at the left side of your screen. If everything simply exhibited foundational oneness, the universe would be completely uniform. There'd be no levels, no distinctions. The vast world would have a single, honestly pretty boring appearance. It'd be entirely a giant puddle of water or just an endless block of wood. But look at the right side. Because we exhibit our heavenly nature, we get this dazzling array of diversity. We get tea, and animals, and humans, and furniture, and just endless, vibrant complexity. The universe is actually supposed to be beautifully unique. The author makes it absolutely clear that the goal is not to suppress who you are just to become some blank canvas. The intention is for everything to proudly exhibit its respective heavenly nature and fulfill its specific role. A table has to function as a table, not as a pile of raw wood. Imagine sitting down at your local cafe and your table suddenly decides, actually, scratch that, I just want to be a pile of logs again. It would be total chaos. The text points out how absurd it would be if milk refused to fulfill the function of milk and instead insisted on acting like plain water. It can't. Trying to go against your given nature, against the Tao, only causes friction and distress. You're meant to be exactly the vibrant expression you already are. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the incredible plot twist the author throws at us right at the end of the text. After walking us through all of this super dense terminology, self-nature, Buddha nature, heavenly nature, Shufeng essentially pauses and says, actually, overthinking these concepts is a trap. As the quote points out, getting bogged down in analyzing all these different natures isn't very beneficial at all. It just traps people in conceptual constraints. It makes the pursuit of peace way, way too complicated. So, what does this all mean for us? What's the ultimate grounded takeaway? The author strips away all that heavy jargon we just learned and offers the absolute simplest method for true peace. First up, free yourself from distress, worry, and fear to the greatest extent possible. Next, achieve a state of no attachment and no dwelling, which basically means just don't get mentally stuck on things. And finally, strive for no self and no form. You don't need to intellectually master the difference between Buddha nature and heavenly nature. You just need to let go of your baggage. By achieving this simple state, the author argues, you fulfill your most beautiful ideals and enter the higher realms of life's infinite joys. And that brings us to our final thought for this explainer. We started out trying to understand the literal fabric of the universe. We learned that while we all share the exact same pure foundational canvas, that Tathagata nature, we're each painted with a distinct, beautiful heavenly nature that makes the world dazzling and diverse. You aren't meant to be a blank canvas. You are meant to be a masterpiece. So knowing that you don't need to be trapped by complex concepts, I leave you with this. What beautiful, unique nature will you choose to proudly exhibit today? Thank you so much for learning with me, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.